Felix and Winston here, and welcome to this morning's live stream. And yes, I do believe the market has changed very, very significantly as I pour myself some gag juice. Our fruit growing sponsor. That's a joke, of course. But there are reasons for this, and I want to walk you through those. The first is that there are four massive sellers who are literally about to sell into this market. So I'm not bullish on the whole market, but I am bullish on a few sectors. And I'll tell you exactly what those sectors are. I'll show you precisely what the tickers are and everything else. I also want to talk about big tech because there's some big opportunities in there for some of you. And then we'll do a big Q&A on your favorite tech stocks or favorite stocks, generally speaking. If that sounds good to you, let me know by smashing the you know what or putting a 1 in the chat down below. So this is what we're going to walk through here with Winston's help. The four massive sellers, sellers, they're from the hood apparently, massives sellers. Can we get a thicker pen? And yes, I say, I'm not buying everything. I'm careful and cautious right now. We talk about big tech. There's some big opportunities in there as well. And then we look at your favorite stocks. If that sounds something that's good to you, smash the you know what. Some of you buying Zim, hoping to retire by Wednesday. Well, good luck with that one. Now, there is a cat on the loose in here somewhere in the background. I don't know if you can see him. There he is. This is one of Winston's friends, you see. He brought him in. His name is Albert, and he is naughty, very, very naughty, but he likes to cuddle Winston. So cats are now officially living in this space of mine, which is going to be insanely distracting. But we'll have to put up with it. So anyway, let's get straight into it. I'll start to show you what the heck's going on there. And by the way, I am not a Middle East war expert. I know everybody else seems to be today, but I'm not one of those. So my goal here is to just show you what actually matters. Just to give you a bit of a geography lesson. I understand that Americans don't know where anything is outside of the United States, just like we don't know where any of your states are. So it just sort of works both ways. Education systems are really pretty narrow-minded, right? But just to give you an idea, what actually matters is, this is Iran, right? The 5th US fleet is sort of just below it. And there is a little thing here called the Strait of Hormuz. And the Strait of Hormuz is where a third of the world's oil runs through, something like that. So if you want this is a bit of a better map of that. So basically, every single oil tanker that leaves the Saudis and so on has to go, and Iraq and Kuwait and everyone, they have to basically go through here. So there is this tiny little bit of land area here that's international waters, and the Iranians are basically, you can smell their breath. Hummus is apparently what you smell. So what does it all matter? Well, okay, there's a couple of scenarios here, and this is from Deutsche Bank. I know. We should probably just abandon the data at that point, but they have some smart people. They're basically saying, look, if Iranian exports get reduced by 50%, the oil price goes to $74. Iranian exports just go to zero. We still have $74. Oil pops up a little bit of 77. Not really a big deal. But if the Strait of Hormuz is closed for 2 months, as in Iranians are shooting at ships that are going through there, then in Q3, we're going to have a $124 oil price. So that's the worst case scenario, right? It's possible. We don't know if it's true or if it's not, if it's going to happen or we don't, but it's possible. So I just want to give you a little bit of a data range here of where we are at, and I'll tell you in a second why that actually matters and how we can potentially make money from that. But a $124 oil price will impact inflation. It'll impact the margins of a lot of companies because oil isn't just oil, it's an energy source, but it's also plastics, and there's a lot of derivative products that come out of the oil world, right? Been there, great diving. Really? Great diving on that side? I thought people go diving in the Red Sea. That's normally what I hear. People normally dive in the Red Sea, which is apparently amazing. My coach keeps telling me to go. He's in Israel. Not getting that much sleep, but, it is what it is. So bear that in mind, information. We're going to come back to that. But what I really want to walk you through is the four sellers right now, which means we need to be a little bit more cautious, a little bit more careful, except with smashing the like button. You can do that without any caution. Nothing bad will happen there, says Winston. I can only see pause now. What happened to Winston? Literally only see pause. So retail, you lot have apparently been selling stocks these last 3 weeks. Very, very naughty. Very naughty. We don't like that. We don't like you selling because you guys have been buying the dip like mad. So every time there's a dip, retail comes in and sort of saves our bacon. And if we don't have that, because people are getting a little bit, shaken out or just run out of money maybe, then that might not be a good thing. So it's something to watch out for, and I'll keep you up to date with that. But it's been a big, big, big buyer of stocks. Insiders, corporate insiders, your friendly CEO, the guys who are really underpaid, all of those guys, they have been, well, we're at sort of the lowest point of insider. Well, they're dumping stocks at the fastest pace since November. That's one way of summarizing it, which sounds a little bit more exciting, doesn't it? But yes, there's been quite a bit of selling, Zuck and all that lot. And that's something to, again, it's selling pressure, and it also creates some negative sentiment. Buybacks. Remember I told you when the buyback window opened and we were going to get all this $6 billion a day or something like that off buying? Well, right now, right now, we are here. You can't see that, can you? Yellow pen, maybe? We're here, which means the volume of buying is going to decline over the next couple of weeks as we head into July. And then it's going to bottom out, and then it's going to rally back into August. So we're in a period where, again, we're not getting that full buying of buybacks from companies buying their own shares that we've had the last couple of weeks. Does that make some sense to you? If that gives you some information that might be valuable, put a V in the chat so I can see that this is landing for you. Okay, I'm seeing some V's there. Appreciate that. Matt, George, and Scott. George, you're number 2 today on the V. You're normally faster than that. As standards are slipping in George Walker's home. And here is another one. Pension funds, right? So when the market's doing badly, pension funds help us because they buy stocks. If the market's doing well, pensions to funds are sellers. And just to explain why that happens, if you're a pension fund and say you're one of the good old-fashioned ones, then you might have 40% of your money in bonds, and you might have, say, 60% of your money in stocks. I mean, it doesn't have to be that, but that's sort of the old allocation, right? So what happens when your stocks go up 10%? Well, you've now got 66% of your money in stocks. So what do you have to do? You have to sell stocks, right, to go back to your allocation, because that's what they do. So every quarter, those guys rebalance. And we're expecting one of the biggest sales of pension funds of stocks that we've had in the history of this lovely chart. I don't know what happened pre-2017, no idea. But at least it's one of the bigger events. So, it's definitely one of the bigger ones because we've had a big, beautiful stock market, right? A Trump market, as Trump claims. When it's bad, it's still a Biden market. Bad days, still Biden days. Good days, Trump days. And I find it very amusing how I get attacked every single day for being apparently pro-Trump or against Trump or taking the piss out of Trump or something like that. It's very funny, really. People have very strong opinions on politics, right? It's really easy to spike people. I should just make political videos and see if I can needle you lot for fun. So what to buy? Well, first of all, you need to very clearly find yourself a golden retriever and ask him, or even a cat. Where is the cat? Albert worries me when I can't see him. He is rather naughty. So he'll probably pop up again. What to buy? So the way I look at the market, and this is not a new thing, but I think it works better and better and better in markets like this. It actually works always pretty well. But the market, so you have the stock market, right? And what is it made of? The market's made out of tech stocks and, I don't know, utilities, defense, lots of stuff, right? There are lots of sectors, right? There are loads of them, depending on how fine you want to slice it. And some of them go up and some of them go down. And they do that with a very, very predictable pattern. And all you need to do is actually understand that pattern, and then it really works. You don't do politics, you do stocks. Well, I try, you see. but it sort of overlaps occasionally, so you can't really avoid the thing altogether. And then you say something, or I make a flippant remark, and then somebody, thinks I'm a communist. Occasionally, I'm a Nazi. Occasionally, I don't know what. It doesn't really matter that much to me, honestly. This is really ultimately all about making money. Okay, I can see the cat again. The cat, which is what we call him. Albert, what are you doing? Where are you going? Should you be all around here, everywhere? He's exploring the world. So, without blocking the chart too much, I'm going to turn him back off. This is one of the sectors I'm bullish on. US aerospace and defense. And there is an ETF for this. There's an ETF for everything, because that way you can click buy once and you can pay somebody like iShares. Is that BlackRock? Forever. And they really like that. They're like, brilliant, got us money now. It's now ours. But yeah, this is very bullish. And it's been bullish for a while. And we've been buying defense stocks for a while. But I think it continues. So we had that little bit of a mini dip here. And now we seem to be going back up again. Pre-market, we're looking up quite nicely. So I am buying stocks in that sector. Now, you could just buy the sector. I think you probably do all right. But I think you could do better by doing individual stocks. But if you just start out with actually doing sectors and understanding why, and why is this a buy? Well, it's been a buy for how long? Who here has watched my masterclass? Put an M in the chat if you have. And you can see where this was a buy, right? That was where it was a buy. And then we get little dips, and that's nice. And we get little dips, and that's nice. And I think it's going to keep going up and up and up and up and up and up and probably up some more. And if you want to learn what those exact entry points are, and then you can also look in the sector and you can find the best stock within that sector, then you might be able to identify some really, really fantastic setups that are so good that you might want to go and kiss a cat. So I'd encourage you to do that. How do you do that? Well, there's actually a link at the bottom of the screen, which is down there somewhere, felixfriends.org/get free, and that'll take you 15 minutes of your life. We've already done 15 minutes here, so it'll be less painful than this. And you will actually just get and understand the simple 3 rules of simply where to buy, where, when, what, and then most importantly, where to sell. Because that's actually how we make money. We sell stuff all the time. That's how we make money. Of course, you can buy and hold till death do you yours part and all that sort of thing, but most of the time stocks go up and down and up and down. That isn't really a particularly lovely story if you do it all the time. Defense might be one of those things that always goes up in the long term, but that's a different story. That goes us back into politics, doesn't it? Here's another one, another sector that we are bullish on, which we've been bullish on for quite some time. It is called GOLD. It is shiny. Very, very shiny. It's gold, and gold has been going up quite nicely, both the precious metal as well as many stocks from miners and in that space and so on. And right now we're in a very, very precious space, because if you look at this kind of pattern here and you see where we are right now, we have a desire to break out. Gold is desirous of higher highs. And again, war, uncertainty, inflation caused by higher oil prices, it all makes oil prices go up. Certain countries don't want to buy US dollars anymore, so they buy gold. US treasuries anymore, so they buy gold. So double white there, yeah, GROI, for example, that's one of the gold stocks that we're in right now. But yeah, IAU is the gold ETF from iShares, and I'm not recommending bloody iShares here, bastards with their fees. But there is some people just want to click one button, so I want to give you that idea of what you might want to do there, but obviously you got to come to your own conclusion, do your own bloody research, right? Don't just buy something that some cat came up with. Next is oil and gas, right? Who would have thought oil and gas would make money in times like this? Well, of course it would. Now, interestingly, since the sort of hostilities broke out in Israel, Gaza, and so on I think it was last July, wasn't it? Somewhere here. Oil prices have actually come down. Why is that? Because there isn't actually that much oil production in that part of the world. Israel certainly isn't a significant producer of oil and gas. So nothing's really happened there. And the Saudis been happy to pump. But what are you starting to see on this little chart here? Well, draw a little line, connect your highs, right? High, 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 high. Californians are waking up and going, me too. So that's interesting. And what's even further interesting is that we have also on Friday, which seems like a long time ago somehow, we've bounced through the 150-day moving average line, which is that purple line there, this one. We had pretty bigly volume. We had a big, beautiful hammer candle. You know, Thor's hammer, is it? Or is it Zeus? It's not Zeus's hammer, is it? Thor's? Is it Thor? You know, one of those ancient gods who couldn't compete with the Catholic Church. That should be offensive, surely, to somebody. Somebody about to kick off in the chat, I hope. More than 3,000 people watching, only 500 likes, but I've probably offended most of them by now, so that's okay. But yeah, that looks pretty good. So we are bigly into oil, and we have been bigly into oil, and we're going to get even biglier into oil. I'm also putting out an oil video today, which is, I know, the sort of thing that you've always wanted to watch. Like, oh, yes, darling, what do you want to learn about today? Oil stock study. So yeah, it's going to be a big thing. It's going to be a big thing. And if the loons at Deutsche Bank are right in any way, shape, or form that oil might go to $100 or something like that, then this is going to make so much freaking money. And if you think about that, say you are ExxonMobil, right? Most of your oil is US based. They have a bit in Guyana and the Middle East and so on, but most of it comes from the US. So you're basically simply pumping. You're doing exactly the same thing you've always been doing, but rather than selling it at, say, $60, you can now sell it at $90. So what does that mean? Well, you've got an extra $30 pure profit, right? So oil companies love a good war. Yeah, it's one of those industries. It's like pharmaceutical companies like it if you just die very, very slowly. That's sort of the idea. So here's another one. So we've got aerospace, ITA. We've got IAU gold. We've got IEO, iShares oil and gas. And again, this is not an iShares advert, bastards. But I just wanted to make life easy and keep it within one sort of ETF provider. What happened to Archer? Archer got diluted. Yes, they issued 85 million shares at $10, which is why it's trading at around $10. So as long as they're going to do something useful with that money, it should be all right. Large chap, you're deeply offended that I'm not yet a millionaire. I'm very deeply offended that you're not a millionaire and that you're telling me about it. I thought everybody on the channel was a millionaire, at least wanting to be one. So nobody can compete with the Catholic Church. They honestly, if you study marketing, I mean, nobody does it better. And then you should sing that. Now, Smiley says you didn't see what they did. They sold at $10 while we're buying at 13 and not 16%. You need a bit of, the market doesn't have to be one day to the next. And yeah, stuff will happen. If you're an investor, stuff will occasionally happen. I like Archer, so I don't think it's a fundamental problem with Archer. But yeah, they raised some money. They raised quite a bigly sum of money. So companies will do that. And they don't tell you in advance, otherwise they wouldn't be able to get the $10. They'd have to do it at 8. So now, semiconductors. I'm also bullish on semiconductors. And they don't get the attention when there's stuff that's getting blown up, right? It's a better form of marketing again, right? Just sell things that get blown up and that's very, colorful on TV. By the way, don't watch the war coverage. It saps your mind like almost nothing else. Don't watch war coverage. It's just one of those things that destroys your mind and soul and ability to focus on absolutely anything. So just don't do it. You'll know if something big happens because somebody will tell you about it, and it's not that relevant to you, and it's quite far away. So for most of you, of course, if you're in Israel or in the Middle East, I'm sorry, yeah, you obviously have to pay attention to where you need to hide. But for most of us, thankfully, this is quite a far away conflict. So don't watch it because you're not going to influence it by watching it. And you're going to just fill your brain with a lot of unpleasant pictures. But yeah, semiconductors looking very, very nicely here. Still a little bit of a mini dip there. So from the all-time high, which I believe we're going back to, we are still down about 2.6% below. Not a huge dip, but still a dip nevertheless. So I'm also bullish on this one. This is SOX, SOXX. And then last but not least, we need to watch this, the volatility index, VIX. And the VIX is up. It's trading at 1972, which I can live with. And that was a good year for music and wine. And we can live with that. If it pops significantly over 20 and it closes there, we should be a little bit more concerned. But on Friday, we closed at 2079. We went up hugely. Actually, why haven't we not got volume on VIX? Oh, interesting. I'll have a chat with the guys about that. But today it's looking pretty good. So we're dropping a little bit there. So everyone's kind of going chill, which is good, right? So they're giving you some ideas in terms of sectors: defense, aerospace defense, gold, oil and gas, and semiconductors. There are a couple of others, but those are kind of the bigly ones that I wanted to highlight to you. Now, here is another one for anybody here bought an option before? Anybody bought an option before? Reveal yourselves. RAM. Apple, I don't know about Apple, but say something like, and again, this is not a recommendation, but something like a Microsoft. Big tech options are the cheapest they've been in a very, very long time. So the IV percent here, which just tells you how expensive options are to a large extent, is at 14. It can go to 100. And this little chart here, drawn by somebody who lives in a very, very dark room and thought that was a very, very bright blue. Go outside, my little friend at Goldman Sachs. The world isn't such a bad place. We're down here. So basically that tells you that the expectation for the stocks to move is very low and nobody thinks they're going to collapse. And it's one of those opportunities where you could buy, if you wanted to, call options that would be very, 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 very cheap. And I would do that only on sort of the big quality tech/software stocks. I think there is an opportunity there for people. Everything looks sort of chart-wise very, very nice. But of course, options and risk and everything else. So you need to understand that a little bit better. So this isn't necessarily for everybody, right? You need to learn options. It's a fun thing to learn once you understand it. But for stop loss, you always use stops. Yes, I do. Market stops, absolutely. Drawn for people that like the dark background. Yes, apparently. Should I shock you? In white. Like, no, right? I quite like it in white, actually, but it's a little bright when you stare at it for too long. What about Winston? Any thoughts, Winston? White or black? Not much of a... Oh, there is Albert. There is Albert. You see him? See him? Naughty cat. Naughty cat. Albert. If only cats would listen when you call them. Albert. Albert. Come here. He says no. So there we are. Was that somewhat useful? Is that somewhat useful? So someone that makes some sense to you? Then I'd be very, very happy. Let me know in the chat. But Joby and Zim. Okay, good luck to you, my friend. I hope you got some stops set up there. Scott, someone's lurking. Where is he lurking? I mean, 1 second. Let me just find him. Got him. All right. This is Albert, the man who is single-handedly responsible for creating 5 kittens. How do you explain yourself? Not heard of, protection? Apparently not. So there is Albert. Any questions for Albert, who's obviously the real genius around here? It's very heavy. Red shorts, absolutely. Yeah, no, they're not quite undies, but they are shorts. You usually find me in red shorts or blue shorts or something. Well, this is the only live stream that I would continue to watch when the host flitters off. Yeah, sorry about that. You didn't think we were going to see shorts today? Yeah, no socks either. So, any questions, my friend? And we'll have a look at the stocks, and Albert will analyze them for us. Will you do that for us, Albert? It's like, nah, I can't be bothered. I don't think anything useful. I just look cute. So, right, he's probably going to go and find the off button to this. So, how to predict option stop losses after hours? You can't, my friend. Actually, well, you can. Make them small. So make your trades smaller. Basically, if your trades worry you, they're too big. It's very simple. So just make them smaller, and that way it doesn't really matter if things drop. So say something like Archer, right? Which on Friday sort of harakiri'd itself slightly. It felt like a Japanese in 1942. Any Japanese on the channel here that I've now deeply wounded? I'm sorry about that. You people are actually too nice to wound. But yeah, it did that. And that drop was because Archer decided to do a private placement of 85 million shares to some friendlies on Wall Street, who obviously were more deserving of a $10 share price than you and me, who paid, what did we pay? 12 or something? 11 or something? So stock dropped. It is gapping up this morning, which is good. But you can't really do anything about that because that's just what happens. But think about it. If you can't see my chart, can you? No, there he is. Now you can see. That's where the real action's going on. Winston and Albert snuggling. They do snuggle very sweetly. Now, you're thinking like, why did I turn into this mad channel? This guy's more crazy than I am. But yeah, so here Archer dropping, right, significantly, at 20%, because they sold $85 million worth of shares, 85 million shares rather, to some friendlies on Wall Street. What was my point? What was my point? My point was, my point was that, say, if your Archer position was, let me use a less menacing color, if your Archer position was 1% of your portfolio, right, and Archer drops 20% on Friday, then that means you are down 0.2% on your portfolio, which you will barely notice because it'll happen like every day. So that's why risk management is a good thing. I'm not saying every position should be 1%. They can be larger, but they certainly shouldn't be like 30% or 50% or something like that. That makes it very, very risky. So I would always be small and nimble, and that way things don't really matter. And then you think, yeah, but then you can't make any money. Well, look, if it's 1% of your portfolio and say it goes up by 3x, right? Well, now it's 3% of your portfolio. That's quite nice. What if it goes up 10x, which is what everybody's hoping for? Well, then it's suddenly 10% of your portfolio, and suddenly it really matters. So small is beautiful, especially with volatile sort of early stage companies. Too much gag juice today. Yes, they must have put something in that. I also had, which was even more dangerous, I had miel de la brigue, which is, can you see that? French honey, which somebody in France said, I can't really be bothered to slap a label on it. The bastards don't deserve it. I was going to stick something on it that barely sticks. But actually, it's a lovely farmer who's very close to where we are in France. And it's the most amazing honey in the world. Insane stuff. Like really, just like incredible. If you ever have a scratchy throat or something, it'll cure it. If you have a cut, it's better than antibiotics. It's amazing. Pharmaceutical lobbyists going, close that channel down. You said something is better than antibiotics. Literally, that stuff is insane. And pasteurized honey from a farmer near you. Go and get it. The bell's coming. Oh, yes. All right, let's prepare for that by turning off all the noise suppressions. Get ready for a very, very noisy event. I hope you will be all right with that. Let's see how Albert reacts, whoever he may be. And then we're going to go and look at how our favorite tech stocks are doing. You need to buy Manuka honey from New Zealand. Only if you live in New Zealand, my friend. Otherwise, it's also bollocks. Better to buy something that's local. It's going to be fresh. This stuff was never heated. It was barely in a jar. It's just sort of like someone just slapped it in there, and it's fresh and it's good. The market is officially, oficialmente, open. There we go. That's good fun, isn't it? That was worth it, wasn't it? Shipping in an antique bell from some Brit somewhere. So there we go. Beautiful big bell indeed. Right. So shall we look at some stocks? probably should, right? Let's have a look at, first of all, where is VIX right now? VIX is at 1973, down 5%. Nothing could make stock market investors happier. It's brilliant. Let's look at QQQ to start with. And that's trading up 0.8%. It's almost as if there was no war going on. The SPY is also up 0.6%. And let's look at some of our favorite individual friends. NVIDIA is up 1.3%, but I did say we're bullish on semiconductors. What about the poor cousin AMD? Up 2.3%, sort of consolidating sideways. Is that a buy yet? Well, for the brave souls, perhaps. I think there are better stocks. I made a whole video on semiconductor stocks the other day. Go and find it if you wish. So, yeah, I'm not loving it. You know, it's not a sort of a McDonald's setup yet, which is something I definitely don't love. Bastards. So what else have we got out there? Any other stocks you mean to look at? What about some of our other friendly warmongers? Palantir is up 3%. Yay, war still pays. Be disappointing if it didn't, wouldn't it? It'd shake my entire view of the world. Anything else particularly devilish we need to be looking at? What about some of our fintech friends? SoFi is up 2%, which is nice as long as it stays above that purple line here, which is at $14.02, which is our 150-day moving average line. The sun will shine. Circle, some of you are saying. Internet group. It's been a while since people put the word internet into their thing. Oh, it's up another 12%. They're inexplicably gapping up because crypto is great. So yeah, that's a bit of a mad one, isn't it? If you bought that at the IPO, which I advised strongly against, you'd be up. Chart doesn't want to measure it. It's like, don't do it, Felix. It'll be bad. It'll make you look bad. I don't care. Seriously, we can't figure out how to measure this. Why not? Why not? Why not? Anyway, it started at $68. It's trading at $149. You do the math. So that would have been a good one in hindsight. Sadly, hindsight, not much of a thing around here. Zim is doing its thing. I don't know. I put a buy order in for that this morning. I don't know if my limit was probably a little bit mean and tight. But it's trading at 18.45 for anybody who got in early in the morning. It opened the day at 18.23. I suspect we probably didn't get filled on that one. Let's see what happens during the day. And why are we also keen on this one? Well, I made a whole video on this yesterday, so I'd encourage you to watch that. But basically, more war with Israel and more war in the general region means more money for Zim. It's very simple. So it's one of those companies that actually benefits from that whole area being undershipped, so to speak. What else have we got here? Oklo. That's been one we've been calling for some time, hasn't it? And it's been a big, beautiful call, hasn't it? It's been a very nice call. It's made us a lot of money, which is always the intention. If you want to learn when to buy these things, rather than just sort of randomly following something that's already run up, then see that thing at the bottom of the screen there? felixfriends.org/getfree. That, my friends, is where you can learn that. And you can learn that completely for free. It'll take 15 minutes of your life. But that's not really the key part. The key part is that you'll actually know what to buy, when to buy it, and you know when to sell it, which is what you're always asking me. So that's what I would do. I would literally leave the stream right now. 3,800 people. If we can get that number down a bit because you guys are going to watch the free masterclass, I would be very happy. Winston would be very happy, who's been moving around trying to escape the menace that is Albert. Are you Winston? This looks like it. So, Groy, our friendly gold stock. It's down 5% this morning, but, well, actually, it was down a lot. It was down at 206, and it's moved back up 15 cents. Any particular reason that we should know about? We actually have no news on Groy, so no idea. It might just be one of those random things. But generally speaking, the gold sector, I believe, is still looking pretty golden. iShares IAU also moved down a little bit this morning, so that's probably just a bit of a bit of a, I don't know what, profit taking on a Monday or something. What about you? Yes, I think I'm also still in that. Yeah, I'm definitely still in that. That is breaking out very beautifully, as it should. And all we want, what is it that we want, children? We just want bigly volume, right? Bigly green volume, non-political bigly volume. And that would then seal the fate of this lovely little supplier of uranium. Another thing, kids, that you should ask for Christmas. Zim is flying. Does it make sense with the perspective of closure of the Hormuz? It's more like the Red Sea, and it's more that most carriers are not stopping in Israel. And therefore, Zim will have a monopoly, and they'll be able to charge whatever the heck they want. That's basically the deal. And if you look at literally the Red Sea, like who the heck wants to go to the Red Sea when, Houthis and everyone else is shooting at you? If you see what the alternative is, so Red Sea is through here, right? Which is why the Brits built the Suez Canal. Was it the Brits or was it, I think it was the Brits, wasn't it? Or was it the French? I thought it was the Brits. The alternative is you have to go all the way around Africa, and then you arrive here, and it takes you an extra 33 days, which means if you're a shipping company, you're going to charge more. And suddenly all your vessels are full because it takes an extra 33 days. So they're basically able to charge an extra $1,000 or something per container that goes through there. And so it's very profitable. Shipping is one of those things that's also not the most moral business in the world, but it works. Lots of green, which looks good. Somebody got censored. Fox Gaming, I'm glad you're still at it. Whatever you wish to censor, go nuts, my friend. MP Materials, a sort of space where we are here. If we don't like your opinion, we shall block you. No, it's probably someone spamming. That's usually what we do. You are very welcome to disagree with me. Yeah, MP Materials is going through the roof. The whole mining sector seems to be going absolutely through the roof. Brits. Well, I'm sure the Brits didn't actually dig it, right? They probably used, Egyptian labor or something like that? Probably, right? I'd imagine most of them died. But it was for king and country, so, it must have been worth it. And then the Americans basically took it away. They said, you can no longer have this toy. We are now bigger than you. AMD, green, 3.2% up. But to me, this is still a sideways movement. And I'm still not particularly fond of the bloody thing. I think there are much better semiconductor stocks out there. Celsius. We had high hopes for Celsius, for the whole space, and I think we got stopped out of the buggers. But yeah, you're quite right, actually. This is a beautiful, 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 and we did have that, buy above 38, 35, but it probably didn't, and then I canceled my order, and then I didn't buy it. But yes, it did that. The second chance here bounces very nicely off the support, explodes back up. So yeah, it looks very good. Looks very good. That doesn't mean you should go buy it, but it looks very good. Fox, don't like the ultra spam. No, I appreciate you for that, for seeing that. There's a lot of stuff in here. The French, I think, not the Brits, says Sharon. Yeah, I also had a thought there that maybe the French did it, the Brits nicked it, but I'm not sure. Suez Canal. The Brits certainly controlled it for a long time. We're going to have to ask Grok, aren't we? This is one of those things. You won't be able to survive the day not knowing that. Who built the Suez Canal? Ferdinand de Lesseps, a French diplomat and engineer who led the Suez Canal Company. Construction building in 1859 was completed. The project was initiated by the Ottoman governor of Egypt, Said Pasha, that's a great name, who granted de Lesseps the concession. Egyptian workers, as I said, 1.5 million people, small construction site. Many worked under harsh conditions. French and British investors provided the backing. France held the majority of the shares in the company. Okay. How did the Brits end up controlling it? They purchased the shares. Oh, and then they occupied Egypt. And then, yes, something like that. Britain declared Egypt a formal protectorate. Britain's control persisted until 56 Suez crisis when Egypt, nationalized the canal, and the Brits and the French tried to invade, but because the Americans wouldn't support it, it failed. So it is now Egyptian, I guess. There we go. Learned something random today, didn't we? Bit of random knowledge. SSSR, welcome. Put an R in the chat if you like a bit of random knowledge. Now you can tell somebody about that. The Egyptians built it. Yeah, well, the Labour obviously did, yes, but you know what I mean. 1.5 million Egyptians built it, and there was a Frenchman and an Englishman, and they were both sipping tea, and they were like, "We built the canal," something like that. So there we are. My Aunt Sue built it. Good to know. Anything you want to look at? What is that? What is that? Neonode? Neon. Kaboom. Kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. Was that on one of our buy lists, Fox? I have no idea. Electronic equipment maker. What do these guys make? But it seems to be in demand, at least since Friday. So I presume it's something to do with blowing up, Iranians or something. I don't know. So yeah, seems to be a popular stock. Doubled, 21% up this morning as well. No idea why, but it looks good. Was that predictable? I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that it was, but it looks good. Well spotted if you're in that. DNN, Denison Mines Corp. Would you rebuy? Okay, I don't like the word rebuy because it implies that you were in it. It hurt you badly, and now you're thinking of dating her again. Generally speaking, rarely a good idea. What do you think, Albert? Do you think it's a good idea to go back to abusive relationships? Any thoughts? Apparently not. But no, generally speaking, don't go back into things to make your money back. That's always a bad idea because it's just full of emotion. And the one thing we want to do here is remove all emotions. So breaking out today, yeah, certainly is. It's above all the lines. 50 days pinking up. Volume was very good on Friday. So yeah, it looks pretty good. It doesn't mean you should run out and buy it, but it does look pretty positive. They won a lawsuit against Apple and Samsung. Oh, are they those random people who own some random patents that they claim? Is that it? Good stop out of MTPLF. Let's have a look at our Meta Planet thing. MTPL. There we go. Our little Japanese hotel chain. It's a Bitcoin holding company, and it is flat today, which is highly unusual. But I mean, if you look at the pattern here, it's pretty extraordinary how that thing is going up, right? So yeah, it's making us some nice money. Where did we buy it? I think we bought it here at 780. So I'm quite happy with it. About 40%. You dress like Angus from AC/DC. I do know who AC/DC is. I don't know who Angus is from the AC/DC. I thought they all wore T-shirts. Isn't that what they wore? One of them wears a jacket with a little silk handkerchief. Is that really one of the AC/DC people? Be a terrible state of affairs. Is Felix a Brit? French? Much worse. Much worse. Guess again. Think of the worst thing you could probably think of, and you'll be quite close. QBT, Quantum, still looking pretty good, right? Breakout was down here at 964. We're trading at $18 right now. Another green day, 7.6% up. So the right quantum companies are still making us money. What do I hear in the background? Cats, probably. Lots of them. They're everywhere. There are cats in here. There are dogs in here. It's a zoo, basically. I always say, like, this little outhouse here isn't going to be a zoo, and then a few weeks later it's a zoo again. Angus wears a schoolboy uniform. Oh, that chap. Okay, yes, I'm just missing the tie. I'll try to put one on tomorrow. German, indeed, German. It is far worse than most of you had feared. Highway to Hell. Yes, they had some good music back in the days. Hymns and hers. What do you see? Tell me, okay, let's do a little quiz. Are you bullish on this? Do you think this is bullish? You think this is bearish? Or do you put a plus or a minus in there, or put a 0 in if you think it's going nowhere? Let's do a poll. Plus, zero, minus. You have to participate, otherwise you have to leave this chat. I wish I had that kind of power. George, you were first again. I'm very pleased. I thought you might have lost it there for a moment. Sideways, 0, 0. Lots of zeros. Down a few of you, but mostly zeros. I love you guys. It's amazing. Yeah, you're completely right, of course. So we had a, depending a little bit on where you want to set it, somewhere here, you had a big, beautiful breakout. Certainly here, you had a big, beautiful breakout. Went up very nicely. We call that usually your second chance. You know, when she says, you're not so bad after all. And then it did that, and then it pulled back, and now it's sort of essentially going nowhere, really. So we're kind of consolidating sideways in that sort of a zone, and that's okay. Stocks will do that. We should get concerned if we drop below that lower yellow line here. That's the moment where we would become very bearish on the thing. At the moment, we're just sort of, we just don't care. That's really it. Jordan Gouldsby, are you related to the Fed president by any chance? I was kicked out of Groy today. Where are you? Oh, that's a little cruel, isn't it? Because gold stocks are dipping a little bit this morning. How long do you hold sideways stocks? Yeah, I was actually thinking about whether there was a hard rule on that. I mean, most of the time they move one way or the other, and they sort of make the decision for you. It's fairly rare that something goes completely sideways for a really, really long period of time. We obviously don't aim to be in sideways action for a very, very long period of time, but it can happen, and at some point I might trim it. Is it possible to switch from candles to lines? It's better to see the ziggity-zaggity. No. What you could do, you could set a really short moving average. So go into indicators in the bottom here somewhere. I'm not sure if you can see that. You can't really see that, can you? Why am I blocking that? Hang on. Let me move myself. I shall move myself. So you can go into indicators here. This is in Trade Vision. And click on the settings thing there. And you could set that to 1 day. And that would give you a line. And then you can make that line big and bright and beautiful. Does that work? Sort of. In red, maybe. In yellow, maybe. Maybe on a white background. Might work better. Let's see. Purplish sort of works. It's not the cleanest solution, but it's an attempt of a solution. You get the idea, right? That would be a ziggity-zaggity line. At this point, you can't turn off the actual chart. So that's kind of the best thing that I can think of. You ported to the other side. Yes, magic, isn't it? I can fly. It's incredible. Are you Egyptian? Have you ever seen an Egyptian who's sort of basically translucent? Zoom in a little bit. This man is very, very, very pale. I think I would last in the Egyptian sun about 3 hours before saying I need iced tea. Boeing is still not doing anything, and it's just that there is this persistent rumor that there might have been something wrong with the plane in India. So the war is not really helping. BA here at this point, but flat is better than nothing, right? So I don't know if we got stopped out of that one. What about AEVA? Are we somebody still in this? If you're still in this, congratulations. I got stopped out here on 20th of May, which was still 80% up, but yeah, it's gone up very, very, very nicely. One reason that you might not want to have complete stops, maybe partial stops, but get 75% more information from candles and lines. Yeah, I agree with you on that, Marx. I think what he was trying to say is he was trying to spot the sort of ziggity-zaggity patterns a little bit better, and that's why I draw on them, right? Because I do think it helps. I think literally it becomes a little clearer if you do this, right? That's how you spot the entry point here. You buy it at 780, and then if you're still in this, you're now at $25. In which case, I expect a Christmas card. Oldest Egyptian mummy was nicknamed Ginger. Can you guess why? Was she Scottish? What about Heiken Ashi candles? I'm not smart enough to read those. I find them very confusing. Similarly to Aihiki, Asahi, clouds or whatever they are. I just think of beer and I get very confused. So it's not for me. Simple is good for me. What do you use to draw? This is okay. The smart thing to draw with are the actual drawing tools inside TradeVision. Again, there's a link down below to TradeVision, but because they get saved, you see, and that's quite useful. So like these notes in here, they get saved in the lines. But I just for the sort of purposes of like teaching, I just use a Chrome plugin, and then I can do things like that, which is very useful. It makes me feel powerful. Nagam, you are inviting me to Lebanon to have a beautiful dinner under the rockety, fiery sky. Very kind of you. I would love the food. I love your food. Some of the best food in the world is Lebanese. One of the reasons I go to pilgrim to London a few times a year. But I must pass, unfortunately, because of that rockety thing going over your head. But I hope you're okay. Can you repeat everything you said? All right, let's start at the top. Okay, quick recap is actually probably a good idea, and then we'll wrap this up. So I wanted to make sure you guys knew there were 4 massive sellers out there. I wanted to tell you that I'm not bullish on the market, but bullish on a couple of sectors. And I'll tell you what those sectors are to be quick about it. One is gold, one is defense, one is oil, the fourth was semiconductors. So those are the actual sectors. Retail has been selling the last 3 weeks, so be a little bit careful about that. Albert is making a racket in the background. And insiders have been selling at the fastest rate since November last year, which also isn't brilliant. The buybacks are also going to fizzle out over the next couple of weeks and go to very, very low levels, which isn't brilliant. And then pension funds, the buggers, are going to sell the most number of stocks at the end of this quarter since sort of 2023. So the market might get a little bit more bumpy. There is, of course, a little thing happening in the Middle East that we did mention briefly, but so far the market seems pretty chilled about it because VIX is at 19, and we're quite happy about that, really. Should have stayed in Ava. You see, I don't really have such thoughts because I don't have hindsight. So for me, realizing an 80% gain, which is what I did from buying here and selling there, is a win. And then I simply move on to the next stock. I just don't care. I never look at it and go, "Ooh, what if I stayed in this longer? What if I've done this?" Or it's a complete waste of time. Take those extra minutes and do something useful with it. It's really irrelevant. I know it's human nature, it's sort of curiosity and all that, but you're really just beating yourself up. Your cat's got something to say about that. Yes, he certainly has. AMD is going to kill NVIDIA. I doubt it. Possible, but I doubt it. He looked at Boeing. Boeing's flat this morning. Nothing really going on up there. What about nuclear? Yeah, uranium and stuff looking good. Maybe there is a new buyer for uranium out there. Do you use the daily chart? I do, Jane, absolutely. Tesla, we haven't looked at Tesla this morning. What's our mad friend Tesla doing? Not a lot, trading at 328, 1% up, but it has bounced once again off the 150-day moving average line, so it just refuses to get into bullish territory. Never go broke taking a profit, John. Precisely. It's sort of this. It's the greed that makes you go broke. So people, I see people because got thousands of students who are like they were up on something 80, 90%, and then now they're down on it 60%, and you're just like, why the pain? Why? Right? Why not let us stop? So. I appreciate all the kind comments, my friends. I shall leave you here and wish you a beautiful rest of the day. Stop watching the war news. It isn't going to make it any better or any worse or any faster. Focus on actually learning how to make your money work for you. If you want to do that, I'll put a link in the live chat for you. It's also down below in the description, felixfriends.org/get-free, and you'll actually learn why we buy where we buy and where we sell. Albert's got some final words, don't you, Albert? And you got some final words for us? He doesn't, apparently. So thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in, and see you tomorrow.